How often do you find yourself sulking and complaining when something doesn't go your way? And I'm not talking about first world problems, like your phone accidentally not charging, or the Xbox turning off by accident when you're clutching in a 1v1 situation. I'm talking about actually serious things that really matter to you. Maybe like experiencing a rejection, losing a loved one, something really big not going your way, like a job. Maybe your patience is just constantly tried and tested, and you're really at your wit's end. Trust me, I've been there very recently. But this is where I'd like to share the importance of turning to God in these times, rather than turning to the world to try to stifle out and numb the pain. This highlights three main things that we have to realize in our walk with God. First is that people have free will because God loves all of us. If we didn't have free will, we would just be worshiping robots. And along with free will comes the potential for people to do evil things. And therefore, bad and negative things are going to happen to us whether we like it or not. Two, if we never experienced anything negative, then we never have anything to compare positive to. So therefore, without negative, there cannot be positive. We have to experience the bad in order to appreciate the good. And three, negativity only happens because what we want is being acted against. But if we got everything that we ever wanted, we wouldn't be in the position that we are right now, and that's probably for the better. In going through something really tough myself, I always said that the toughest trials yield the greatest results. And that is one of the truest things I think I've ever realized. As Christians, we have to understand that when we're walking with the Lord, when we're carrying out God's will, and we're being faithful to Him, things that happen to us are things that are meant to cleanse, purge, and purify us for God's mission. And don't get me wrong, when you're walking in God's will, a lot of good things are going to happen too. However, you have to take the bad with the good. However, is it necessarily bad if you reframe it? Let's talk about that. We must always prioritize asking ourselves, in the midst of our suffering, what is God trying to teach me here? Don't waste time sulking. Don't waste another second being disappointed, sad, and complaining. Rather, use those seconds to reflect upon how that decision affects your life and how that serves your mission with God. Perhaps God removed a person from your life. How is the absence of that person going to perpetuate you forward in God's mission for you? Say you've been rejected by a person or a place. How is the absence of that thing going to perpetuate you further and give you more time for your mission? Isaiah chapter 48 verse 10 says, "I have refined you, but not as silver is refined. Rather, I have refined you in the furnace of suffering." I've heard a really wonderful interpretation of this passage, saying that God's refinement is not for destruction. It's for purification. It's for your own cleansing. A lot of the times, our rough edges that we just refuse to let go have to be forcefully smoothed out. And that's done through the toughest fires, the most difficult of trials. I've had experiences where people, including myself, just refuse to let things go. But when we give our lives to God, those things that we don't need, even though we refuse to let them go ourselves, if we give God the wheel, He will take those things from us one way or another. When we lose something, when we've been rejected, when something just doesn't go our way, if we're walking in God's will, if we're reading our Bible, if we've invited God to change our lives, then the good news is that that thing is always going to be for the better. We have to understand that in order for God to change our lives, in order for us to reach our potential, we have to be purged of some things, maybe a lot of things. And the purging of these things is what ultimately causes our growth and our maturity. That being said, let everything be a lesson. You will outgrow things. You will surpass obstacles. Sometimes you really do not want to let something go, and God has to rip it from your hands in order to wake you up to the reality that you need to not have that thing in order to progress. But remember, everything is a lesson. Everything is for growth. When you're walking with the Lord, when you invite Him into your life, when you verbally and out loud say, "Lord, come into my life. Lord, purge me of things that I don't need," God will do just that, and you have to be ready for it, and you have to be ready for the great benefits that it yields. God never makes you suffer to punish you or to make you feel bad. He only makes you suffer to help you reach your full potential. He only ever takes away things that you don't need and that you shouldn't want. And for that to happen, you just need to trust him. If we kept everything we ever wanted and got everything we ever wanted, we would not be in the same position we are today. If we never experienced loss, rejection, or other pain, we would never reach our full potential. So in the midst of suffering, remember two things. One, to ask yourself, what is God trying to teach me? What is God trying to cleanse me of in order to help me reach my potential? And two, that Jesus already paid the price for every sin. Jesus gave us hope. Jesus suffered for our salvation. So even if something on this planet, in this world, in the short term, doesn't go the way we want, remember that in the long term, we have hope in our salvation. We can have faith that God has everything laid out for us and that we will live eternally with him. And if things of this world are really affecting you, take time to get a 20,000 foot view of everything. See the world as just the world, the small picture, and make sure you see eternity, heaven, as the big picture, and that has already been secured for everybody who confesses that Christ is Lord. Thanks for watching. Follow the call to Christ. Invite God in the midst of your suffering. Allow him to change you and refine you for you to reach your full potential. Defend the faith, and God bless.